Welcome to Sharp Angle. Today we're looking into one of the most shocking and controversial events of the year. An Israeli airstrike hit the Nasser Hospital complex in Gaza, killing at least 15 people, including 4 journalists, among them a Reuters correspondent. Israel claims the strike targeted militants hiding inside. Palestinian authorities and international observers call it a war crime. This is not just another headline from a far-off war. It's a moment that raises profound questions about civilian protection, freedom of the press, and America's role in a conflict that U.S. taxpayers are helping to fund. Let's start with the facts. According to reports from Reuters, the Associated Press, and the BBC, an Israeli fighter jet launched precision munitions at the hospital compound in Khan Younis, southern Gaza. The building served as a functioning medical facility, with patients still inside. The Palestinian Health Ministry says doctors and patients were among the victims. The journalists were confirmed dead, including Reuters photographer Sami El-Masri. Dozens of civilians were injured, many of them children. Israel's military spokesperson claimed the target was a Hamas command post embedded within the facility, accusing militants of using the hospital as human shields. The context matters. Since the October 2023 escalation, Gaza's health infrastructure has been pummeled. Hospitals, clinics, ambulances, facilities, normally protected under international humanitarian law, have repeatedly come under fire. The United Nations has documented more than 70 strikes on medical facilities in Gaza in the last 2 years. Each incident is defended by Israel as a military necessity and condemned by Palestinian officials as collective punishment. But the killing of journalists has supercharged global outrage. Why? Because journalists are not just bystanders, they are the eyes of the world. When reporters die in a war zone, it's not only a human tragedy, it's a blow to transparency. The Committee to Protect Journalists says more than 100 reporters have been killed in Gaza since 2023, the deadliest conflict for media workers in modern memory. When a Reuters correspondent is among the dead, it grabs headlines in London, New York, and Washington. It forces Western audiences to confront the reality of what's happening on the ground, and it complicates the political calculus for leaders who support Israel. Let's dig into the legal layer. International humanitarian law, especially the Geneva Conventions, makes hospitals off limits. The only exception is if a hospital is being used for hostile acts outside its humanitarian function. But even then, the attacking force must issue warnings and take precautions to protect civilians. Did Israel do that? Palestinian doctors say no. Israel says yes, pointing to intercepted communications, suggesting Hamas was coordinating attacks from inside the hospital. If true, it raises the grim question: how many civilians can be killed to neutralize one alleged command post? Lawyers call this the principle of proportionality, and it is at the heart of potential war crimes investigations in The Hague. And here's where Americans come in. Israel is the largest recipient of U.S. foreign military financing, over $3.8 billion annually. Every JDAM bomb, every F-35 sortie, every precision missile may have components made in American factories. For taxpayers, that means your money is not abstracted, it's part of this war. And when civilians and journalists die, the moral and political costs ricochet back home in Washington. The political fallout is immediate. Progressive Democrats are demanding that aid to Israel be conditioned on respect for human rights. Republicans counter that Israel is fighting for survival and must not be second-guessed. President Trump, under pressure, defended Israel's right to self-defense while calling the journalists' deaths tragic but inevitable in war. Expect this to become a flashpoint in the 2025 campaign season, one side arguing America cannot bankroll war crimes, the other insisting any restriction would embolden Hamas and Iran. For ordinary Americans, the risks are not theoretical. U.S. embassies in the Middle East are on heightened alert. Terror groups often use high-profile civilian casualties as rallying points for recruiting. Cybersecurity officials warn of retaliatory hacking campaigns targeting U.S. infrastructure, and public opinion in allied nations is turning sharply against Washington's unconditional support for Israel, weakening America's credibility abroad. History offers some parallels. During the Vietnam War, images of civilians burned by napalm shifted American public opinion. In Iraq, the revelations of Abu Ghraib prison abuse damaged U.S. credibility for a generation. Now Gaza risks becoming another case where the images of destruction outweigh official talking points. When journalists are killed, the world remembers their photos and their last dispatches more than any military briefing. And then there's social media. Within hours of the hospital strike, footage of mangled equipment with the Reuters logo went viral on TikTok, and ex-students on U.S. campuses organized vigils, while hashtags like #JusticeForJournalists trended worldwide. For younger Americans, many of whom already question Washington's foreign policy, this becomes a generational moment. In an election year, those sentiments matter. Politicians may dismiss online outrage, but in 2020 and 2024, youth activism helped decide key races. Let's think deeper. What does this mean for the principle of press freedom? If journalists can be killed in hospitals, will others dare to cover conflicts, or will wars become even darker, fought without witnesses? For democracies that pride themselves on a free press, that's not just a foreign tragedy, it's a domestic problem. Because the less the public sees, the more governments can hide. So what happens next? 3 scenarios. Scenario 1. The outrage fades, Israel continues its campaign, and Washington doubles down on support. Scenario 2. International investigations gain traction, pressure mounts, and the US quietly conditions future aid. Scenario 3. A tipping point. If more journalists or mass casualty incidents occur, domestic US politics could shift toward calls for suspension of military funding altogether. And here's the bottom line. The Nasser Hospital strike is not just about Gaza or Israel. It's about America's identity. Are we a nation that funds allies unconditionally, even when they kill civilians and journalists? Or are we a nation that puts principles of human rights and press freedom above geopolitics? For ordinary Americans, the answer matters not just morally, but practically. Because every dollar spent abroad is a dollar not spent on schools, healthcare, or infrastructure at home. And every headline about war crimes chips away at the credibility that keeps America safe in a dangerous world. Thanks for watching. Sharp Angle. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. Because when global conflicts hit hospitals and silence journalists, staying informed isn't optional, it's essential.